Happy Monday. So I am so excited to be with you today. As always, we are talking about all things going viral on LinkedIn. When should you try? When should you not try? Is it worth trying? You can probably tell by the title of this live stream that I lean towards probably not going viral, but we've all seen those posts with thousands of reactions, comments, and reposts. And we've all been there wondering, how can I make that happen? Is it worth it? Will that actually last? Am I wasting my time trying to hack the algorithm? So, more on all of that in a minute. How was your weekend? I took my son to see The Wild Robot in theaters, and he was literally counting down the days till its debut. If you like emotional DreamWorks movies, I feel like this one is definitely worth watching, especially if you have little humans in your life and if they like robots, you're in for a sweet treat. So, highly, highly recommend. And now it is time for Mondays with Mindy. This is a weekly show at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, where I talk about all things LinkedIn pipeline, promo, and profiles, what I call the three P's of LinkedIn. So, do you have questions about LinkedIn that you want me to answer? Be sure to like this post, whether you're watching live or from the replay. Also, leave your questions below and I will either answer them right after the show. I usually hop into the comments, especially on LinkedIn, if this is where you're watching the live. And I like to get into back and forth about what we're discussing today. So do leave your comments. I do see them. I just like to stay focused on topic and answer the comments afterwards. So let's get to today's topic. Chasing viral moments, it can really be exhausting. I have had some clients that are super focused on it, and it's like, okay, when are we going to hit? When is that going to take off? That's going to give us the bump we're looking for. But it doesn't always lead to lasting results. Some of my clients have gone viral, and yeah, it's been great, but a lot of times it's more of that flash in the pan. So today we're going to shift our focus from short lived virality to building a meaningful, sustainable presence on LinkedIn. Trust me, the long game is really where the value is. But of course, we need a story. Let's lay this all out. All right. So, two entrepreneurs I worked with. We're going to call them Sarah and Mike. All right. They decided to use a LinkedIn to build their personal brands and attract investors for their startups. Okay. So, very similar goals. And really, what they're focused on is two different approaches. So, Sarah was really interested in going viral. Okay. She really wanted to hit it big. If I just craft a viral post, if I just know enough about the algorithm, that's really going to help me attract those followers. I'll capitalize on that momentum and keep it going. So she would spend hours literally crafting what she thought would be like attention. She's gone to all these like content seminars. There are some really good experts who can write great copy out there, using those clickbait titles, running them through like the SEO keyword checkers, really focusing on controversial statements like taking a stand and going with it. And okay, her strategy did actually pay off. So she had a post about AI replacing human jobs. Okay, think AI, people are interested in it, especially this past year. And it went viral. Thousands of reactions, reposts within, less than 24 hours. Not bad, right? So she's pretty excited. So as you can imagine, Sarah was really excited about this, and she all of a sudden had this popularity. So her LinkedIn follower count, it skyrocketed. And she even got a few podcast and media interviews. But what quickly happened was that as quickly as it came, really the attention did not stick around. So her posts after that just really didn't have that viral element. And she was very, very sad. Of course, coming to me, how do we troubleshoot? How do we get that, that viral success happening again? And she really found herself frustrated because she was chasing that high and she was actually neglecting her business development. Now, if you have watched any of my posts or listened to any of my live streams, however you consume the content, I talk a lot about business development. And really, that's where the magic is on LinkedIn. So your content is kind of opening the door to business development. But if you are not focusing on that component, no matter how many times you go viral, well, maybe if you go viral enough times, it'll work. But it is very rare for people who do go viral and don't focus on the business development to actually get success and that long-term traction on LinkedIn. So even if you are uncomfortable with business development, you got to get comfortable enough with it here on LinkedIn, or you are going to be waiting years to grow your business on LinkedIn. You're probably going to give up and go somewhere else. All right, so let's talk about Mike. We talked about Sarah. She went viral. She got the result, but it didn't really give her the result she truly wanted, which was new business, right? Attracting investors. So Mike, on the other hand, is like, okay, I'm going to take a different approach. I like to work with the mics. These are my favorites because I don't have to convince them of anything. They already know we're kind of in alignment. And he focused on sharing genuine insights from his journey. So, as an entrepreneur, there are a lot of hurdles, some of them good, some of them bad, successes, failures. So, he really focused on posting valuable content about tech innovation, startup challenges, and he focused on engaging authentically. I know we hear that word a lot. Engaging as himself, not using AI or another tool or just leaving spammy comments with his growing network. So he made a point to comment thoughtfully on other people's posts, participate in relevant discussions, share resources that he found helpful, also including his perspective, very important to content. And then he started organizing small LinkedIn roundtables to discuss industry trends, and these gradually grew in popularity. Nothing overnight success status here, but he also focused on growing his LinkedIn network with all the people who engaged with his posts, those people who came to his roundtable discussions, those people who showed curiosity in the same types of content. So he was like on the lookout for these opportunities, but making sure that it felt organic and it felt like something manageable. He wasn't just trying to hack things together. So he invested in actually learning how to use LinkedIn well, how LinkedIn actually works, rather than just chasing the algorithm. Okay. So his growth, did it ever really skyrocket? Not really, to be honest, but he showed that steady month over month improvement in his follower growth. He also started noticing better relationships with his existing connections. He's like, oh, I can actually talk to these people. We can actually get into the DMs. We can actually have real conversations and take things offline. And he started having a nice flow of clients and referrals. Okay, so that happened over months. So, what happened a year later? If we're looking at our Sarah and Mike a year later. So, a year later, it was definitely a completely different story for each of them. So Sarah, her follower count kind of stagnated. Like she had that initial bump, but she couldn't get excited about her content. It was really tough and she still was trying to get that viral element, and her engagement rates started dropping. So the fleeting viral moment didn't really translate into those meaningful connections or business opportunities. And then she by this point, she was like, Mindy, I'm just like ready to give up on LinkedIn altogether, even though her ideal audience was here because she was not getting the results. We'll follow up with Sarah at a later point. But I did have some convincing to do. And yes, things are slowly but steadily improving. All right. So, Mike, however, so he actually built a loyal and engaged community of fellow entrepreneurs, potential investors, industry experts. Now, his consistent presence and valuable contributions here had already established him as a thought leader. So, within a year, think a year of consistent content. You can build a following, you can build an audience, you can gain traction. So when he finally announced his startup's funding round, his network was like, yeah, this is exciting. They rallied behind him. And he was really, really excited about the partnerships that he already had in place. So this story, I know we're thinking tortoise and hare here. This story demonstrates that while going viral, it can provide that temporary boost. And for some people, that can translate to lasting success. I'm not going to say it doesn't always, but for the majority of people, the consistent, authentic engagement that builds lasting relationships and opens doors to real opportunities on LinkedIn starts when you focus on the long game and you really think about providing value, like Mike, engaging as yourself, and building a community. It's far more effective. And to be honest, it's also a little bit more enjoyable. This is the approach that I like to take. Like Mike, I like to take this approach on LinkedIn. I'm not so concerned about just posting. I don't care how many people watch this live. I'm not like sitting there tallying the numbers like, oh, are people joining? Do people care? The right people are going to resonate with your content. So by focusing on quality content and regular interactions and actually thinking about the relationships you want to build here, you also can create a sustainable strategy that it not only it does it boost your LinkedIn presence, it gives you the good juju, it also will directly contribute to your business success. Remember, it does come back to business development. We're not talking about that specifically in this video, but the two do go hand in hand. So you knew that's how the story was going to turn out, right? The tortoise and the hare, we all know. Still, it's a reminder that slow and steady wins the race on LinkedIn. So don't get distracted by, ooh, shiny, or here's the latest trend. I see so many posts, especially from other people in my space, LinkedIn experts, saying, here's what you got to do on LinkedIn. LinkedIn just changed the algorithm and da 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 da. This is what you do next. Have I posted about that stuff? Yeah, I have periodically, especially if it was impactful. But what's funny about the LinkedIn algorithm is that LinkedIn does not want you to go viral. The way that the algorithm is structured is that if you do go viral, they think that there's something fishy going on. So that doesn't always help you unless you consistently get that high engagement. LinkedIn is wanting you to grow slow and steady. So play nicely with LinkedIn. Don't try to hack it. And if you want to go hack the algorithm, go to TikTok, go over to Instagram, try some trends over there and hop on the next one that hits. Okay. All right. Spiel done. All right. So, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Mindy Ramsey, and I have an online program called the LinkedIn Accelerator for those who want to go from 0 to 60 on LinkedIn with their profile and network. So, the last cohort actually ran in 2023. I'm revamping it for the next program, and it will have a lot of updates from 2024. A lot has changed in that time. I'm very excited. So I help leaders who feel they are the best kept secret in their industry to become that go-to visible expert in their niche so they can get that next opportunity, grow their business, and scale their impact. Very much in line with what we're talking about today. So in this live, we're going to continue focusing on the difference between chasing that viral content and actually building lasting impact on LinkedIn. Again, so many people focus on trying to go viral, but in the process, they miss out on creating content that truly resonates with their audience and builds those lasting, real connections. So, we're going to talk about why sustainable growth on LinkedIn beats going viral any day. It's my favorite way to go on LinkedIn. So, if you're watching live or catching the replay, again, hit that like button to show some love and let me know you're ready to start making a real impact on LinkedIn. All right, so let's break it down. What does going viral actually mean on LinkedIn? People will say this. They will also use this term in reference to other channels, especially TikTok. We hear a lot about that these days, YouTube as well. So, usually it's a post that gets a ton of engagement. Usually, this means reactions, reposts, comments, and it happens in a short amount of time. So, this sounds amazing, right? But here's the reality: viral content can have a very short shelf life. On average, a viral post usually lasts a few days at most, and after that, the buzz just fades. It's like fireworks, they're bright and exciting, but they're over before you know it, and you're kind of sad when they're gone. So, for context, let's talk about numbers. Viral posts tend to peak within 24 to 48 hours. That number kind of shifts just depending on the topic, content, algorithm, all that good stuff. After that, they kind of drop off the radar, and that's not really sustainable, right? Unless you're always going viral. If you have a massive following and your people are very engaged, it's going to look like you're going viral all the time, but really you're just engaging your network. If you are always chasing the next viral moment and you just want every post to have a bazillion reactions and comments, you're not really thinking about the dozen or 2 dozen, maybe more, people who want to actually have a conversation about that insightful piece of content you just posted. You're focused so much on trying to get the right keywords, you're trying to get the right eyeballs, the right graphic, that you're not focusing on the message. What is the intention behind what you're sharing? You're too busy trying to adhere to Richard Vanderblom's latest and greatest LinkedIn algorithm insights. If you're curious, he has amazing insights. Yes, you should be following his content. It's excellent. And even he will tell you that the magic of LinkedIn actually comes from the quality over the quantity. It's just that he can do both extremely well. And he makes time for it, and his whole business is around LinkedIn. For the rest of us, our business is not built around LinkedIn. Mine somewhat is, yours is likely not. So do you have to pay attention and follow every single LinkedIn algorithm update and make sure it's incorporated to have success on LinkedIn as an expert in your field? No. You need to know enough so that you are in the know, but that you're also helping your people. And your audience may not care how many reactions people are having to your content. They are looking for you to connect with them and help them solve their problem. All right. So whether there's a ton of reactions or not, doesn't really matter. Okay. So, the drawbacks of viral content, this is where things can get a little bit tricky. Viral posts often attract the wrong audience. Let me say that again. Viral posts often attract the wrong audience. All right, just because a post goes viral does not mean it's reaching the people who truly resonate with your message or who are interested in buying what you have to offer. All right, so when you see a viral post pop up in your LinkedIn feed, a lot of times it's because someone in your network reacted to the post. They liked or they commented on it. A lot of times you are connected to that person, that individual who commented or liked, but sometimes you don't have anything in common with them and that post is really not relevant to you, but you're still going to like it or react to it because everybody else is. Or you're going to comment because maybe you'll get seen on this post, but it's not 100% aligned with you and you are likely not going to buy from the person who went viral. Are you? Most of us aren't. It's sometimes a good way to get discovered, but a lot of times it just is not the way to attract buyers. All right. And let's be real. The engagement on viral posts can sometimes feel like surface level. So you'll see one of these posts, and a lot of times you're like, what? They posted a nice picture, or all of their friends chimed in and commented, or this is just like fluff. You can tell that AI wrote it. Like, come on. So you may get a lot of reactions and comments, but not a lot of real meaningful connections. And sometimes there are good conversations happening in the comments. Okay, but not all of the time. A lot of times it's just like, hey, keep going. Yeah, this is so insightful, even though it really isn't. And it's really not helping anyone professionally. So you might get a big boost, but how many of those people are genuinely interested in building a relationship, professional relationship with you, or supporting your journey long term? Think about that. I've seen so many posts go viral, you have too. And while they get tons of traction, they don't always lead to that business growth, which is what we're after here on LinkedIn. We're looking for meaningful opportunities. We want to network with each other. We want to support each other on LinkedIn. In fact, sometimes they attract trolls, spammy comments, or people who just really aren't aligned with your goals. So again, we're thinking quality over quantity here. Doesn't really matter how many reactions you get. Yes, we do want eyeballs, but not at the expense of great content and not to the detriment of coming up with good ideas and really thinking about your people. So, the golden rule of LinkedIn content. All right, so let's shift gears and talk about what really works. Slow, steady, sustainable growth. And I know slow does not sound as exciting as viral, but hear me out. Building a dedicated, engaged audience over time is far more valuable than chasing a one hit wonder. It really, really is. And for those of you who have taken this approach on LinkedIn, a lot of you are probably going to chime in, DM me afterwards. We'll have great conversations about this. But you are the ones who continue to show up over time, even when it's not glamorous, even if you feel like stuff is not really happening, but you're having good conversations. You are building new business opportunities. People may not see it in your content, but you are having behind closed doors in your DMs, you are having great conversations. And you may not need to go viral to build a business. It's like not all of us need that amount of popularity. We need one relationship, or maybe we need half dozen relationships. Maybe we are looking, maybe we have a smaller price product and or subscription, software as a service, and we do need a lot of subscribers. So maybe going viral would be more relevant. But for those of you who are focused on thought leadership and growing your connections, and maybe you're selling, you're a consultant, or maybe you're a career professional, you do not need to go viral. There is no point. All right. It's not really going to help you long term. When you focus instead on providing real value, sharing content that speaks to your audience, not just everybody on LinkedIn. When you show up consistently can look different for everybody. Consistently on LinkedIn could be once a month for you. Consistency for somebody else may be once or twice a week. That can look very different, but when you make a consistent habit of showing up on LinkedIn, people will notice. The people in your audience will also notice. You also want to connect with people who engage. So if somebody comments, you should be connecting with them. You should be engaging. You should respond. You should at least react to, for example, respond to their comment. And you want to bring your best professional self to LinkedIn because this is the foundation. This is the foundation that lasts. This is what sticks around. It's like planting seeds. We've all heard it before. You won't see the results overnight, but eventually you're going to see that big old tree. from planting those seeds. So, with consistency and care, your network will grow, and the engagement you receive will also be more meaningful. When you actually have time to engage in the comments because there were a half dozen people, how great is that? You have the opportunity to go back and forth once or twice in the comments. You have the opportunity to follow up in the DMs. And this is an opportunity that those people who go viral on the regular, I don't know if they do, but if they go viral all the time, they don't get this opportunity unless they have a team helping them. So this is your competitive advantage, okay? So let's dive into 3 key strategies to build that long term impact on LinkedIn. These are really simple. I'm not making this complicated, but they are super effective if you stick with them. So, first of all, focus on content that actually addresses your audience's needs and challenges. So, forget about trying to sound like a textbook or throwing out industry jargon just to look smart. Think about what your audience is dealing with actually on a day to day basis. So, what are their pain points? What questions do they have? If you can create content that speaks directly to those challenges, people are going to keep coming back because they see real value in what you're sharing. You're not saying just what everybody else is saying. So, in my case, people do not come to me for algorithm updates. Okay. Like Richard Vanderblom's audience. Okay. His people do come to him for those numbers. They want the reports, they want, all of the great insights that he shares on LinkedIn. So that's why they go to him. People come to me because they want to find a sustainable and approachable way to use LinkedIn, either as a course creator, a career professional, an entrepreneur, a board member, people who are like, Mindy, I'm on LinkedIn. I don't really know how to use it. I need to use it in a way that fits with my work life and not trying to like just focus all my efforts on LinkedIn. I work with some out there that really it is about building the biggest, baddest audience out there. But for the most part, that's not the reason people come to me. So the type of content that I create is meant to make LinkedIn feel a bit more intuitive and simple. So it's like simplifying LinkedIn for the very busy professional. So for people who do not want to be known as LinkedIn gurus, but they do want to be known for their expertise in their professional circles, these are the people that I resonate. These are the people I love working with because it's like I can I can talk to them and in 30 minutes it's like, "Oh, wow. I know a lot about LinkedIn. All I need to do is X, Y, and Z." I'm like, "Yep, that's all you need to do." And then we can talk later if you feel like X, Y, and Z are in place and you want more results. But otherwise, it can be really, really simple. So these are my people. These are the people I enjoy working with. Okay. So think about your people. Who are they? You don't have to appeal to everyone. You don't have to, be measuring yourself against all your competitors and trying to, out viral them. This is about your people and speaking to their needs. All right. So next, you want to be consistent. So I get it. You post something great and crickets. I've had it happen, and so many of us have had it happen. If you're a content creator or you posted at all, you know what I mean. It is so frustrating. You put your heart and soul into a topic. You're like, this one's going to hit, and it doesn't. And here's the thing, success on LinkedIn isn't really about that instant gratification. You actually have to keep showing up, even when it feels like no one's paying attention. Consistency builds trust. Consistency builds trust. Okay, so stay consistent. It doesn't have to look like somebody else's consistency, your definition. Remember, like we talked about, some people can be consistent posting once a month, others can be consistent, posting once or twice a week. Consistency is unique to you. So people start to notice when you're there regularly, when you are delivering value, when every time they see your name pop up in their feed, they go, "Oh, he or she has something really, really great to say, and I'm going to read it because it's worth my time." All right. So even if it's not blowing up with likes and comments and reposts right away, keep going. Keep going. Sometimes it happens later too. I've also noticed that on some of my content. There's like one article that I wrote, I think like 6 or 7 years ago, and it still gets people coming to that post, and people still continue to comment even though it's an old post. And I tell people this is an old post, things have changed. People still find it, people still want to have conversations about it. So if you write content, create content, and it doesn't take off right away, that's okay. Some stuff is going to resonate later, some stuff is not going to resonate at all, and that's okay. All right. It's about showing up, and the results will come with time. And again, remember, you could always rework content that you have used before, maybe take a different perspective, maybe reshape it, maybe go, oh, I think this is why it might not have resonated as much. Maybe I can try it again in a different way. Right. Just trust yourself. Remember, the results will come with time. So for me, what does this look like in real life? Okay, so this looks like creating one big piece of content per week, like this live that you are watching right now. So what I do is I actually spend an entire week thinking about my perspective on this topic. So I will usually plan out my topics at least a month in advance, sometimes sometimes a little further in advance, just depending on what's going on. I will then start writing for the weekly episode about a week before I go live. And this allows me to really think about the topic to ensure I'm just not saying what everybody else is saying, and that it actually sounds like it's coming from me and that this is really my perspective. So to me, I want to go deep. I want to just like I ruminate, in a good way, but on the topic and like what is different? What do I want to bring to this conversation? How am I not just adding to the noise? And then I go live every Monday and I share a LinkedIn newsletter with the written version of the topic. So for those of you who don't want to watch, you can either listen, just put in your earbuds, don't have to watch me on the screen, or you can actually read it, scan it, however that works for you. I also email my email list later in the week to let them know a new episode is up, invite them to join the conversation. So this big piece of content is then turned into some shorts and reels for people who prefer, like the little bite-sized tips from the episode. So, one thoughtful piece of content allows me to stay consistent without overwhelm. It also allows me to go deep. So, sometimes I do post little LinkedIn newsy things throughout the week. You may see that in my feed. Those I kind of pepper in, but my weekly content is really like my hub. All right. All right. So, lastly, let's talk about being real. This is a big one. People don't want to connect with the perfectly polished version of you. They don't. You're not real. We see that everywhere else. It's like, okay, how many filters can we put on ourselves? How many perfectly choreographed videos can we watch on TikTok? They actually want to connect with you. They want to connect with the best professional version of you. You also want to share your real thoughts. You want to share your real experiences. You want to talk about your mistakes. You want to show your personality. All of this kind of mixes into your personal brand. So, the more of yourself that you are, the easier it is for people to relate to you. When you look to like overproduced, people just go like, okay. It's the connection is just not going to be there. So you don't want to sound too casual. I don't want to show up in like unprofessional attire and, start spouting, you know, in your grubby work clothes or something. But what you do want to do is show up and show a little bit of yourself, show a little bit of your personality. That's kind of like why I talk about things at the beginning of the show, what I did over the weekend. Am I going too deep? No. Am I oversharing? No. You want to avoid the oversharing. That's a big problem that I've seen people who are trying to build their personal brand and get this connection point right. They go a little too heavy into the oversharing. You're like, okay, you don't have to share everything that's happened in your life. We don't want to go down, some crazy rabbit trails that don't relate to what you're talking to. So do keep that in mind. But the more of yourself that you bring to LinkedIn, the better. And this actually helps you create lasting connections, makes you feel human. You don't feel like a bot that's just spitting out AI posts. You really want to think about, okay, how can I put myself into this post? How can I show my audience that I am thinking about them, that this content I have created for them is because I believe in it, because it's meaningful, because it will help them in their work life. And like I said, this is why I'm also not afraid to take a little bit of a stand about things that I feel strongly about, even if it does go against what the majority of other experts in my field say. It's okay. You don't want to be intentionally controversial, but if you feel strongly about something, then you do want to share that and do weave that into your content. Don't feel like you have to hide it or just go with the flow. So those are three strategies. So first of all, speak to your audience's needs. All right. So really think about them with your content. Go deep. Next, you want to stay consistent. That's so, so important. So stay consistent, whatever consistent looks like for you. And three, you want to keep it real. All right. So be yourself. Be yourself. Have a little bit of fun. That's okay too. And remember, it's not about chasing those viral moments. It's really about building lasting relationships and creating that value over time. Time, keyword. When you are on LinkedIn, it is for the long haul. It is not just a quick hit. So focus on making an impact that lasts, not just a momentary splash. All right. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever had a viral post? If you have, drop it down below or share what it was about. I'm curious because I want to know how it felt for you. Have you ever come across some? Did it lead to the outcomes that you wanted if you had a post? And it may not be viral in the sense of thousands of reactions, but maybe it was a lot for you. So, like, did that actually translate to new business? For some of you, it may have. For some of you, maybe not. So, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Like I said, I'll jump into the comments after this so we can have more of a discussion. And if you want to dive even deeper and you want to check out how to create a great profile to take your career and business to the next level, I have a guide. So it's mindyrosser.com/LinkedIn reboot. And you can see a little bit of guidance there and also get on my list if you want little email notifications and fun little LinkedIn tidbits. That's how you get on the list. This will help you feel a little bit more confident, like sharing your content as an expert, because when you have the profile to back it up, you can go out there and feel a little bit more free. Like, okay, my profile looks good. I can now share content and actually attract the right people to connect with me. So, again, thanks for joining me today. And now go out there and start creating some more thoughtful content. Feel free to tag me too. Like, if you wrote something you're really proud of or you just want to celebrate, I do not mind being tagged in the comments or being DM'd about your post because I want to see what you're sharing. I want to see what is meaningful to your audience. So feel free to tag me or share your content with me anytime. I will see you all next week for more Mondays with Mindy. Bye for now.